Fab4 Expression presents the Unapologetically Reborn podcast hosted by Cody, Fulin, and Alicia Lynch. This podcast is meant to support awareness and reflection, but it is not a substitute for professional mental health care. If you need support, please reach out to a licensed professional or a trusted resource. A downloadable workbook can be found by visiting our website www.unapologeticallyreborn.com.
Hi, welcome to Unapologetically Reborn. My name is Alicia Lynch.
I'm Cody.
Have you ever met someone and felt an instant electric connection?
No.
No? Never?
No.
Okay. Well, that bolt of lightning that tells you you're the one, we call it chemistry. We call it fate. Well, what if I told you that for many of us, that spark isn't a green light? It's actually a smoke detector going off. Today, we're diving into the frustrating, painful reason why the wrong people feel so incredibly right, and why healthy love often feels like a pair of shoes that just doesn't fit. Welcome to our new series, Love Lies in the Nervous System, where we will continue to examine trauma, love, and relationships. Do you have anything that you want to discuss before we get started?
That love is blind.
This is very true. All right, we have a lot to cover today. We're kind of going to look at the basics, and then we are going to get into some more intense psychological stuff to give you the language in our next episode. We do have a new newsletter. Check that out on our website. Our brains are pattern matching machines. We don't choose what is good for us. We choose what is known as emotional recognition. So if you've never heard of it before, emotional recognition often refers more specifically to nervous system recognition in this sense. A visceral, unconscious feeling that someone's emotional frequency matches a pattern from your past.
God, you know too many damn big words.
What constitutes emotional recognition? At its core, emotional recognition involves three processes. Cue detection. Your brain scans facial expressions, vocal tones, micro-expressions, and body language. Inference. You actually categorize these cues into specific emotions. Example, sadness, anger, happiness. Attribution. You identify the likely cause or source of that emotion. The spark versus the healthy recognition. Let's get into this. In relationships, people often mistake a high-intensity click for healthy recognition. Nervous system recognition. Okay? This happens when a person's behavior, like being hot or cold, matches your early attachment patterns. Your brain tags them as highly salient or important, triggering a surge of adrenaline and dopamine that feel like intense chemistry. We're going to get into this in our segment more in depth. Not in this one, but in our series. Healthy emotional recognition. In secure relationships, this is more about attunement, the ability to notice subtle shifts in your partner's emotional state and respond with empathy and care. How trauma distorts that recognition. Research shows that individuals with a background in trauma may develop specialized but skewed emotional recognition skills. Hyper-recognition of negativity. People with a history of maltreatment often recognize negative emotions like anger or fear, rightfully so, more rapidly and at lower intensities than others as a survival mechanism. The misinterpretation of neutrality. Trauma can cause a person to misinterpret neutral or even positive expressions as negative or threatening. Emotional monitoring. This is the exhausting process of constantly scanning others for subtle emotional shifts to predict their next move and ensure your own safety. If your childhood was a storm, you'll feel homesick for rain, even when you're standing in the sun.
I'm more of a sun type of guy.
Yeah, me too. I'm more of a sun type of guy.
I'm sick of the cold.
I'm with you. What is the love GPS? Think of your brain like a navigation system. When you're a child, roughly ages 0 to 7, your brain is recording the map of your world, the map making. You observe how your patterns treat each other and how they treat you. Your brain takes notes. Is love loud? Is love distant? Do I have to be perfect to get a hug? Does love involve being ignored? The setting. These observations become your default settings. By the time you are an adult, your brain has a programmed destination for what a relationship should look like. The autopilot. When you walk into a room of 100 people, your love GPS, which is your internal working model, ignores the 99 people who don't match your map. It starts beeping when it finds the one person who matches the old familiar terrain of your childhood, even if that terrain was rocky or dangerous. Why? This explains the wrong person.
I must have turned off my GPS then.
You've met a lot of wrong people?
I've met certain people's friends, yeah.
Oh boy. The reason the wrong person feels right is that your GPS has found the destination it was programmed for. If your map says love is unpredictable, a stable person feels like they are in the wrong location. You feel lost. But when you meet someone inconsistent or wrong, your GPS says destination reached. We are home. Your love GPS isn't broken. It's actually working perfectly. It's leading you exactly where your childhood map told it to go. The problem isn't your heart. It's that you're using an outdated map from 20 years ago to navigate your life today.
Yeah, I can say it.
Yeah, me too. The foreign language analogy. Let's get into some analogies. The concept. Emotional recognition and familiarity. The story. Imagine you grew up speaking only chaos. It's loud, stressful language, but it's the only one that you know. You move to a new country and you meet someone who speaks peace. It's a beautiful language, but you don't understand a word of it. You feel lonely and bored. Then you meet someone who speaks chaos. Even if they're saying mean things, you feel an instant connection because finally someone is speaking your language. The lesson. You don't choose the wrong person because you like the pain. You choose them because you understand the language of their behavior. The broken thermostat analogy. The concept. Neurobiology and the baseline for love. The story. If you grew up in a house where the emotional temperature was always at 100 degrees, high stress, high drama, your internal thermostat got set to that heat. Now when you enter a healthy relationship, that's a comfortable 72 degrees. You don't feel good. You feel shivering cold. The lesson. You aren't attracted to the healthy person. Your body is just, you're not unattracted to them. Your body's just having a reaction to the change in temperature. You have to stay in the 72 degree room long enough for the thermostat to reset. Now, my favorite, the old shoe analogy. The concept, familiarity versus safety. The story. Think about a pair of old beat up sneakers. They have holes in them. They leak when it rains. They offer zero support for your arches, but they're so comfortable because you've worn them for years. Now, imagine putting on a brand new pair of high quality hiking boots. They are objectively better for your feet, but they still feel stiff and wrong. You might even get a blister. The lesson. Most people throw the new boots away and they go back to the leaky sneakers because they mistake comfort for quality. In relationships, we have to endure the stiffness of a new healthy connection until it breaks in. So we have this internal working model, this love GPS, constantly leading us back to the same types of people. The big question is why? Why would our brains be so cruel as to lead us back to the fire? This is where we're going to discuss mastery theory. Mastery theory comes in when you see your brain doesn't just want to find things that are familiar, it wants to fix it. Mastery theory is the subconscious belief that if you can find someone who is just as difficult, just as distant, or critical as the person from the past, But this time, you finally win them over. Then you've remastered that trauma. You've mastered the trauma completely. You aren't dating the person because you want to be hurt again. You're dating them because you're trying to rewrite your history and you don't even realize it.
You're not trying to change them, you're trying to change yourself? Is that what I'm hearing?
That's very well possible. I think everyone is different. But basically, you are trying to rewrite your story from your past and you don't even know it. It's like a subconscious thing. You're hoping that if this person finally says, I love you or you're enough, it'll somehow travel back in time and heal the child who didn't hear it 20 years ago. Sounds a bit like a superpower, but it's actually a trap. Think of it this way. Your brain hates unfinished business. If you grew up with a parent who was emotionally unavailable, your younger self failed the mission of getting that parent to open up. You were left with a sense of, I'm not enough. Mastery theory says as an adult, you will subconsciously seek out a partner who's also emotionally unavailable. Big question, why? Because your brain thinks if I could get this person to love me, the person who is just like my parent, then I finally win.
That's kind of creepy that you would want, someone to be like your own parent. That's kind of weird.
We're not.
In my personal opinion.
I think the person is looking for unconditional love that they didn't receive.
Oh, I thought it meant like the looks.
No.
I was gonna say that kind of weirded me out a little bit.
Well, your brain says, I finally mastered the situation I lost as a child. It's like trying to go back to a video game level you couldn't beat 20 years ago. You keep replaying the same difficult level with the same boss, the wrong person, hoping that this time you'll get a different ending. But here's the tragedy. You can't master a broken game. You don't win by beating the level. You win by turning off the console and choosing a different game entirely. Now let's get into what is known as repetition compulsion. I don't know if you've ever heard that term before, because I know I did not when I was researching.
No, I have never heard of that, and thank God you're reading that, because I would be stumped at the first sentence you already have made about that.
Well, I never heard that term either until I was researching the topic. So, the I'm stronger now delusion. When you're a kid facing the original boss, like a distant or a volatile parent, you didn't have the tools to win. You were small, dependent, and powerless. The adult logic. Now that you're an adult, your brain thinks, I have more health points now. I have better armor. If I go back into the same battle with a partner who acts just like my parent, I can finally beat that level. The familiarity of mechanics. Every video game has mechanics, the rules of how you move and fight. If you grew up in chaos, you're an expert at those mechanics. You know how to walk on eggshells, how to read moods, how to earn love. When you meet the wrong person, you recognize their mechanics instantly. Even though it was a hard level, you feel confident because you know the controls. A healthy person feels like playing a game where the buttons do things you've never seen before. It's confusing, so you quit, and you go back to the boss that you know. The glitched reward system. In a game, the harder the boss, the better the loot you get when you win it.
Yeah.
In these wrong relationships, we convince ourselves that the payout for winning over a difficult person will be the ultimate validation. We think if I can get the unlovable boss to love me, then I must be the most lovable person on earth. The reality. The level is glitched. The boss is programmed to never let you win. You spend 30 minutes or 30 years replaying the level, not realizing that the game was rigged from the start. Now I know the science about GPS maps and mastery theory can feel a bit abstract. So to really understand how this shows up at 11 p.m. on a Tuesday night when you're staring at your phone, let's look at a story. Let's talk about Sarah. She grew up with a father who was a high-functioning alcoholic. Sometimes he was fun, an amazing dad. Sometimes he was angry and distant. In adulthood, Sarah meets Mark. Mark is stable. He texts back immediately. He tells her that she is beautiful. Sarah feels nothing. She tells her friend he's nice, but there's just no spark. Then she meets Julian. Julian's a musician. He's mysterious. He forgets to call her for 3 days. And when he finally does, she feels a lightning bolt of attraction. Julian isn't Sarah's soulmate. Julian is simply a match for Sarah's love GPS. Her brain recognizes the inconsistent father frequency in Julian. When Julian ignores her, Sarah's master theory kicks in. If I can get Julian to be consistent, I finally fix the pain my father caused. So why did Sarah choose Julian, the guy who ignored her, over Mark, the guy who was actually there? It wasn't because she's crazy. It's because Julian gave her something Mark couldn't. He gave her a massive addictive hit of dopamine. To understand Sarah's choice, we have to look at the chemistry of withdrawal. We're going to get more in depth in this. Not right now, but in the series. When we repeat a wrong relationship pattern, we aren't just feeling or following a map. We're feeding a chemical dependency. We often talk about love as a feeling, but for someone with a background in trauma, love is often a neurochemical roller coaster.
Is that dopamine? Oh God, how am I supposed to word this?
It's a chemical in your brain.
Yeah, I know it's supposed to lighten you do things or like things that like gives you more or something like that.
Yeah, it feels good. People crave it more.
Yeah.
This is often has to do a lot with like cocaine and substances like this. When you're with the wrong person, someone who's hot and cold, or someone who has to win over your brain, it's constantly pumping out two things. Cortisol, the stress hormone, dopamine, the reward hormone. Think about the wrong person who doesn't text you back for 2 days. Your cortisol spikes. You're anxious. You're on edge. And suddenly your phone buzzes. They texted. In that second, your brain floods with dopamine. It's a massive hit that feels like euphoria. This is called intermittent reinforcement. It's the exact same brain chemistry that keeps people hooked on slot machines. There's a really good analogy. You aren't in love with the person. You're addicted to the relief of the stress they caused you. Now here's the scary part. When you finally walk away from the chaos and you meet a healthy right person, your brain doesn't say thank you. Instead, it goes into a withdrawal because a healthy person's consistent. There's no massive cortisol spikes. Because there's no spike, there's no massive hit of dopamine relief. Your brain feels flat. You may actually feel depressed, irritated, or most commonly, bored. Your brain is literally throwing a tantrum. It's saying, where's the adrenaline? Where's the chase? If you don't understand this, you will dump the right person because you feel like there's no spark. But the truth is, you're just a drug addict who's currently in detox. You have to stay in that boredom long enough for your brain to recalibrate so it can start enjoying steady, real love. Think of it this way. Look at the slot machine. The slot machine pays out. If it paid out every time, it would be boring, right? Well, it wouldn't be to me. I mean, I would appreciate it, but
not to me. That'd be great to hit.
I mean,
I'd love to hit the 3 sevens.
Right. It wouldn't be boring to me.
Back to back. That'd be great.
But to some people, they get bored sitting there pulling the lever. A machine that pays out sometimes is addictive. The wrong people are the slot machine of the dating world. Okay? So if you got something out of it every single time, you might get bored. Not me, I wouldn't, but after hearing about Sarah and the way that our brain chemistry can trick us into withdrawal, you might be thinking, is my gut broken? Can I ever trust my instincts again? This is where we have to learn the difference between anxiety and intuition. We need to do a real gut check. Think of the gut check as a way to distinguish between your body's memory and your soul's wisdom. When people say trust your gut, they assume the gut is always right. But for someone with a background in trauma, the gut is like a faulty smoke detector. It goes off every time you try to toast bread. Let's do this quick exercise together. Close your eyes. You closing your eyes?
Mm-hmm.
Close your eyes. Think of the person who makes you feel electric. Where's that feeling in your body? Is it a tight chest?
Nope.
Is it a fluttering stomach? All right.
You want me to lie?
Now think of a person who's safe, a best friend, a grandparent. How does it feel? Is it a warm, heavy, settled feeling?
Yeah.
Okay. The second feeling, the quiet one, is what healthy love actually feels like. But we've been taught to chase the first one. The memory gut of anxiety.
Oh, I got plenty of that sometimes.
This is a high energy feeling. It's loud, fast, frantic. The feeling, butterflies, racing heart, obsession, a pulling sensation in your stomach or a tightness in your throat. The translation, this isn't your gut saying this is the one. This is your nervous system recognizing an old threat. It's the feeling of being on edge. The concept, it's actually hypervigilance. Your body thinks it's back in the original trauma, so it's reviving the engine to get ready for the fight or flight. We mislabel this as high energy and passion. Intuition, the wisdom's gut. This is a low energy feeling. It's quiet, heavy, calm. The feeling, a cold realization, a sinking feeling, or a simple quiet no. It doesn't have a racing heart. It's clear, neutral, and it's a piece of information. The translation, this is your actual tuition. It's, I see that this person is lying to me, or I don't feel safe when they raise their voice. The concept, this is discernment. It's your brain's ability to see a person's character without getting swept up in chemicals. The wait and see test, how to explain this. Use your heart rate as a test. If the spark feels like you just drank 5 espressos and you can't stop thinking about them, that's anxiety, trauma recognition. If the spark feels like you can finally exhale, take a deep breath, that's safety and intuition. Basically, if your gut is screaming, oh my God, I have to be with them, it's usually a craving, it's not a connection. We get those mixed up. True intuition doesn't scream, it whispers. If you have to convince yourself that the lightning bolt is love, you're likely just feeling the electric shock of your old trauma being touched. Let's play a little game. You ready to play a game?
Yep.
All right, the segment, fact or fiction, the chemistry addition. Boy, I can talk as usual.
Yeah, I'll read that one.
You read it?
Yep.
Okay, you read the question, but I need to see it.
Okay. Question 1. I know I'm not the fastest reader. If it's meant to be, like I can talk.
Me too.
It will feel easy and effortless from day one. Fact or fiction?
The answer. What's the answer?
Fiction.
Correct. Here's the explanation. For those with a background in trauma, easy often feels unfamiliar and boring. Real healthy love often feels difficult at first because it requires you to show up as your true self without the armor of your old survival strategies. If it feels too easy, it might actually just be your internal working model playing out a familiar, effortless script. Fact or fiction, question 2.
A strong spark is the most reliable indicator long-term capability. The answer is fiction.
The explanation. Neurobiologically, that spark is often emotional recognition. It's your brain saying, I recognize these person's flaws. They match the flaws of the people who raised me. Often, the spark is actually anxiety, masquerading as excitement. High chemistry usually tells you about your past, not necessarily your future. Question 3.
Fact or fiction, you're subconsciously, I think I said that right, attracted to people who treat you the way you were treated in childhood. The answer is
fact. The explanation. This is your core of repetition compulsion. Your brain is looking for a match for your attachment blueprint. You aren't doing this because you want to be hurt. You're doing it because your brain is searching for a familiar environment where it knows how to survive. Next question.
if your partner is boring, it means there's no chemistry. The answer?
Fiction. Usually fiction. The explanation? In the world of trauma recovery, boring is often what safety feels like when you aren't used to it. If you're used to 100-degree heat, a chaos. Like I said before, a healthy 72-degree relationship feels cold or boring. Give it time. The boredom is often just the absence of fear. Next question.
Oh, hold on, my chair. That's my bad. You can fix the wrong person if you love them enough. The answer, obviously, would be fiction.
The explanation. This is the mastery theory trap. We believe that if we can change the wrong person, we can heal our own past. But you can't love someone into being the parent you didn't have. Mastery comes from choosing differently, not from trying harder at the same failing game. So if you're sitting across from someone new and you feel that spark, I want you to perform a 3-second audit. Ask yourself, does this person make me feel excited or do they make me feel nervous? If the feeling is nervous, meaning your shoulders are up to your ears, your breathing is shallow, and you feel like you have to perform to be liked, this is your trauma blueprint recognizing a familiar challenge. Your love GPS is trying to take you back to a place of struggle. But if the feeling is quiet, if you feel like you can lean back in your chair, if you don't feel the need to fill every silence, and if your heart rate is steady, that's your intuition telling you that you're safe. We've been conditioned to think that love should feel like a roller coaster, but the truth is, healthy love feels like an exhale. If you can't breathe, it's not the right person, no matter how right they feel in that moment. Here's some questions that you might have. Let's try to answer them. Go ahead.
The Wade, am I crazy question, my bad. So if I'm actually addicted to stress or the stress of the wrong person, I can speak so much. Does that mean my gut intuition, instinct is broken? Should I trust my feelings again?
Should I never trust my feelings again? What's the answer? This is the scariest part of the journey. For many of us, our gut isn't a psychic. It's a historian. It's telling us what happened in our past, not what should happen in our future. When we feel that electric spark, don't ignore it. If you feel it, don't ignore it. But interrogate it. Ask yourself, do I like this person because they're safe? Or do I like them because they feel like a puzzle that I'm trying to solve? And I've been doing so since I was 5. Next question.
If a healthy relationship feels boring and has no spark, aren't I just settling for a roommate? Isn't it passion important?
Passion's vital, but we have to redefine it. The passion we feel with the wrong people is often just anxiety masquerading as excitement. It's the passion of a car crash. Healthy passion is different. It's slow. It's the passion of being truly seen and known. You aren't settling for a roommate. You're allowing your nervous system to downshift from a state of war to a state of peace so you can actually feel intimacy. Next question.
Why can't I just master the wrong person? If I love them enough or explain it well enough, won't they eventually change? Then I'll finally win the game.
This is the mastery theory trap. We think we can love someone in a different version of themselves, but here's the truth. The wrong person isn't there to be fixed. They're there to show you your own pattern. Real mastery isn't changing someone else. Real mastery is changing your choice. You win the game the moment you decide that you don't want to play the game anymore. Next question.
If I realize I'm in a loop right now, chasing the wrong person and ignoring the right one, what is the very first thing I should do tomorrow?
The first step, observation without judgment. For 24 hours, just notice when your love GPS starts beeping. Notice when you feel that rush of dopamine. After being ignored, don't beat yourself up. Just say, oh, there's my old map again. Once you name the pattern, it starts to lose its power over you. You move from being the victim of the pattern to the observer of it. So it's not about ignoring your heart. It's about educating your heart to recognize safety as sexy. Here's a couple fun facts. Want to read them?
The peace panic explains that the brain wired for war, peace feels like an ambush. The 90-day rule, tell the listeners, it takes about 90 days for the brain to start up regulating its receptors to appreciate healthy and steady dopamine. So if Diet Coke is that, thank you Coca-Cola for that, my dopamine.
Wow. There's a commercial. We've covered a lot of ground today. We've looked at how early internal working models created a love GPS that leads us toward the familiar, even when the familiar is painful. We've explored mastery theory and that deep subconscious wish to finally win a game we've been playing since childhood. But there's one thing I want you to take away from this episode. It's that you're not broken for being attracted to the wrong people. Your brain isn't failing you. It's actually trying to protect you by using the only map it was ever given. That magnetic pull, the pull that you feel toward chaos, that's not a character flaw. It's just repetition compulsion. Your heart's way of trying to heal itself by facing the old boss one more time. But today, you have a new map. You know that familiarity does not equal safety. You know that the spark is often just your nervous system recognizing an old frequency. And most importantly, you know that if someone feels boring because they are inconsistent and kind, that boredom might actually be the sound of your soul finally finding peace. Healing doesn't just happen by finally fixing the wrong person. Healing happens when you realize that you don't have to prove your worth to anyone. Anyone who makes you feel like you're hard to love. So this week, I challenge you, trust the exhale, lean into the quiet, give the boring person a second look. You might just find that they're not boring at all. They're just the first person you've ever truly allowed you to be safe. So before we sign off today, you want to read this part?
No, you're better reader than me. You're better at reading than me, and I don't want to stutter and stumble over my words.
I do it all the time.
Yeah.
All right, well, before we sign off, we did make a newsletter. This is where we're going to leave important notes and upcoming podcast episode schedules. You can find it by going to www.unapologeticallyreborn.com. You're also going to find the workbook for this episode, should you want to utilize that. I also just wanted to say that I just published my new book, Unapologetically Unseen. This is my proof. So it says not for resale. Anyways.
Very good book.
It's Unapologetically Unseen, the hidden impact of growing up in the shadow of addiction. After the podcast, you can find a video that introduces the book. If you find this to be something that you could benefit from, It's on Amazon in paperback, and it will be on Barnes & Noble in the next 2 weeks. To celebrate this milestone, I'm offering it on Kindle for 99 cents. After you read it, I ask you to please do me a big favor. Please leave a review. This is the best way for someone looking for this type of material. This is the best way for them to find it, is for you to leave a review. Thank you for listening to Unapologetically Reborn. This is where survival ends and choices begin. Hi, this is Cody and Alicia from Unapologetically Reborn. We'd like to wish you a happy Mother's Day. Anything you want to add to that?
Hello to all the mothers out there, and I hope your children treat you well.
Me too. I hope that you go out to a fabulous lunch or dinner or breakfast or something for all of your hard work. I also don't want to be heavy, but I do want to say this. Today's the day that I lost my mom. And years back, we celebrated Mother's Day. Basically writing our obituaries and plans for a funeral. It was pretty crushing right before Mother's Day. And a few days after my little sister's birthday. So it was pretty devastating. It was a sudden loss. Anyways, with that being said, I just want to remind you, if you haven't spoken to your mother in years, or you have a bad relationship with your mom, hopefully you will consider patching those things up, because I'll tell you what, you're going to miss her when she's gone. And celebrating Mother's Day without your mother really sucks. And I sure do miss mine. One hell of a woman. Thank you very much. And you guys have a fabulous week and a great Mother's Day. Thank you for the work that you've done in raising wonderful children.
Unapologetically Unseen, written by Alicia Lynch. Introduction. Childhood is often imagined as a season of innocence, a time defined by play, safety, and the steady presence of parental love. For many children, however, that picture looks very different. When addiction enters a home, childhood is not simply altered, it is fundamentally redefined. For children growing up with a parent struggling with addiction, the home can become an unpredictable and emotionally confusing place. The stability and safety that children rely on to understand the world may be replaced with uncertainty, secrecy, and emotional inconsistency. What should be a place of comfort can instead become a landscape shaped by tension, shifting moods, and unspoken rules. This book invites you into that often unseen landscape. It explores what it means to grow up in homes where addiction casts a long and complicated shadow. In these environments, childhood unfolds differently. Many children learn early how to read the emotional temperature of a room, how to anticipate a parent's moods, and how to adapt to situations they cannot control. They develop survival skills long before they need them. This experience is often invisible to those outside the house. From the outside, life may appear normal. Inside, however, children may be navigating confusion, fear, and emotional needs that remain unspoken or unmet. Over time, these experiences shape how they understand relationships, trust, and even their own sense of worth. Some children grow up knowing exactly who they are. They are encouraged to explore their interests, express their emotions, and develop their sense of identity within environments that feel safe and predictable. Their childhood becomes a time of discovery, where personality unfolds naturally and gradually over time. But not every childhood unfolds that way. Some children grow up in homes where unpredictability becomes normal. Homes shaped by addiction, emotional volatility, and instability often require children to adapt in ways they cannot fully understand at the time. In these environments, survival becomes a priority. Children learn to observe carefully. They learn when to stay quiet, when to step in, when to take responsibility, and when to disappear into the background. These adaptations often happen quietly and automatically, long before the child has the language to describe what they are experiencing. Over time, these adaptations become patterns. The child who learns to keep peace may grow into an adult who feels responsible for everyone else's emotions. The child who learns to stay invisible may grow into someone who struggles to take up space in their own life. The child who carried responsibilities too early may become an adult who cannot seem to put anything down. For many people, these patterns remain confusing for years. They may notice themselves reacting strongly to situations that seem minor to others. They may struggle with boundaries, identity, or a persistent sense that they are responsible for more than their share. Often a quiet question begins to form. Why am I like this? For individuals raised in homes affected by addiction, this question often carries layers of confusion and self-doubt. Many of the patterns that develop in childhood are rarely discussed openly, leaving individuals to navigate their experiences without a clear framework for understanding them. Growing up in the shadow of addiction does not mean a child lacks strength. In fact, the opposite is often true. Many children develop remarkable resilience as they learn to adapt to circumstances beyond their control. They learn to endure, to observe, to survive, and sometimes to carry responsibilities far beyond their years. This book is not a story of blame or victimhood. It is a story of recognition. Unapologetically Unseen explores the emotional adaptations that often develop in children raised in addiction-affected homes, and how those adaptations can influence adult identity, relationships, and emotional well-being. It seeks to bring clarity to confusion, validation to silent struggles, and understanding to experiences many people carry quietly for years. Understanding these patterns creates an opportunity for change. Awareness allows individuals to separate who they are from the environments in which they were raised. And from that awareness, healing becomes possible. This is where that journey begins. If you or anyone you know could benefit from this book, please go to Amazon.com to order it. To celebrate the launch of this book, you can find it on Kindle for 99 cents. Your voice is a lighthouse towards someone else's healing, and reviews help others find resources. If you would be so kind to write a review after you have read the material, it would be greatly appreciated. The book has a built-in workbook to guide you in your journey. Thank you so much, Alicia Lynch.